Have you ever been using an AI coding assistant and it just feels a little bit like you're playing a slot machine? You know, you keep feeding it prompts, tweaking things, just hoping for that one perfect bit of code, that one jackpot idea. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today, based on a really provocative article that calls this whole experience the vibe coding casino.
I mean, this quote from Moore really just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? The idea here is that when you're using AI to spin up your side projects, you're not just, writing code. You're actually chasing a dream. It's the dream of hitting it big with $1 million idea that came from a single, simple prompt with almost no effort. And that's the central metaphor we're going to be exploring.
So, what is this casino really? Let's kick things off by defining what vibe coding is and painting a picture of why this whole thing feels so much like a game of chance. This right here, this is the promise that's being sold, whether the AI companies mean to or not. You use a tool like Claude Code or maybe Gemini CLI, and it feels so easy. The fantasy is that with one lucky prompt, just one pull of that AI lever, your little idea could just explode into this huge, successful project. It's a really powerful and, let's be honest, a very tempting thought.
So the source coins this term for it, vibe coding. And if you've ever used these tools, you know this feeling. It's that initial rush where you make incredible progress, right? You get like 90% of your app built in just a few minutes. But then you hit that wall. A button isn't quite aligned, or an API call is missing the right permissions. And so the prompting begins again and again. And you're just chasing these tiny fixes until, whoops, you've completely burned through all your free credits for the month.
And here's the thing, that frustrating cycle, it's not just a bug in the system. The source argues it's actually a feature. It's a carefully designed psychological engine that's meant to get you hooked, and it's known as the compulsion loop.
And, this isn't some brand new idea. The compulsion loop is a super well-known mechanic, especially in game design, where it's engineered to create addictive, repeatable behaviors. The argument here is that this exact same psychological hook is now at the very core of how we interact with our AI coding tools.
So here's how that loop plays out for a developer on a daily basis. You've got the anticipation. I'm finally going to fix this annoying bug. The challenge is that, real debugging is a slog, so you just toss it to the AI. And then you get that sweet, sweet reward, that rush of dopamine when it spits out the fix and it actually works. It feels great, and it makes you want to do it all over again.
But what about that bigger loop, the one for your jackpot side project? Well, after all that work, the reward might be something as small as, say, 3 upvotes on social media. And that underwhelming payoff doesn't make you quit. No, it just fuels the desire to go back to the casino and spin the wheel on a brand new idea, hoping for a bigger win next time. So, if we're the players pulling the lever caught in this loop, it begs the question, right? Who's the house in this casino? Let's take a look at the business model that pretty much guarantees the house always comes out on top. This is where the business model just snaps into focus. The source asks you to spot the difference between the free chips a gambling site gives you and the free tokens an AI company gives you. The answer? Yeah, there really isn't one. In both cases, the whole point of the freebie is to get you in the door and get you hooked. And again, this isn't just happening by chance. It's a very deliberate business strategy. It's called a customer lifetime value acquisition pipeline. You get users hooked with a free trial, you let them get a taste of that compulsion loop, and then you convert them into paying customers who, as the source puts it, get milked bone dry. It's the exact same model that lets the gacha gaming industry make billions from tiny microtransactions. Now look, this whole vibe coding casino idea, it's not happening in a vacuum. The author makes a pretty compelling case that it's just one part of a much bigger and maybe more concerning trend in our society. I mean, just think about it. Over the past decade or so, behaviors that look a lot like gambling have just exploded into the mainstream. We've got digital sports betting you can do from your couch, all the wild speculation around crypto and NFTs, and even social media platforms that are basically designed to push these kinds of speculative assets. The vibe coding casino, the article argues, fits right into this broader gamification of everything.
But here's the kicker. The author argues there's one critical thing that makes these AI tools even more potent, even more addictive than all those other examples. And it's that they're actually useful. Unlike, say, a speculative JPEG of an ape,
An AI coding assistant can help you solve real, tangible problems. And it's that very utility that makes the compulsion loop so much more powerful, and frankly, so much harder for us to even recognize that we're in it.
Okay, so if we find ourselves sitting at this digital casino table, how do we actually get up and cash out our chips? The author gives some really solid personal advice on how we can use these incredibly powerful tools a lot more mindfully.
Here are the big takeaways, sort of like mantras to keep in mind. First, just be intentional. Be really mindful of what projects you're pouring your time and energy into. Second, don't waste an ocean of CPU cycles on every single fleeting thought that pops into your head. And finally, be critical of the hype. Always watch out for the people who are trying to sell you the shovels for a gold rush that might not even be real.
And that really brings us back to the central tension of this whole thing. There's no question that these AI tools are incredibly useful. They're game changers. But does that very utility just mask the gamble we're taking? Does it make that compulsion loop even stronger and make the casino that much harder to walk away from? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you open up your AI assistant.